Hi there. Welcome to the channel. My name is Alana, and I'm the creator of the Health Analytic Insights podcast, where I interview guests and talk all things health informatics.
Hopefully you have watched the previous two videos to get some context for the dashboard creation, which we will be doing in this current video. And this will round up the final project in creating our business intelligence portfolio project. If you want access to the previous two videos, you can click the link to access the playlist. And now that we've cleaned our dataset in the last video, we can be in the report pane window. So we have the report pane with our visualizations and our metrics here. We have the data view, which has our data set. And in this data view, we can add extra columns here. And so you can see this column is created, and we can delete it from the model. We can also add entirely new tables. So we can create a calendar table. And then this will create a date table from January 1st to today's date. And then when we go to the model view, we can actually see this table pop up. And we can create relationships between these two tables by just dragging one column to the next. And we see that it creates a one-to-many relationship where there's a specific date, let's say January 1st, and then there's multiple patients you can have a birth date on January 1st. And you can delete this from the model. You can hide this whole model from the report view, but we're just going to delete it from now. Again, there's a lot of functionality within Power BI Desktop. So we'll just go back to the report view. And we're going to start building our metrics that we described in the first video. So the first thing we're going to do is go to transform data because we have two metrics that we need to create columns for. So we want to have a metric for the average hospital length of stay. So we're going to go to add column, custom column. We're going to calculate the hospital length of stay. By subtracting the patient discharge time from the patient admission time. That's going to be our hospital length of stay, and we're going to change that into total days. And we will remove this column. And then we also want to calculate the average time to see provider. So again, we're going to go to custom column, time, when provider was seen, subtracted by the admission time. I'm going to hit OK. And we're going to change this into minutes, total minutes. I'm going to remove this column and then do rename total minutes to see provider. Okay, now that we have those two columns, we are going to close and apply. And we will see that we have these two columns once it loads into Power BI Desktop. So we have the total days and the total minutes here. So the first thing we're going to do is rename this page here to a more intuitive name. So we'll call this Hospital KPIs. We will save our work. And the first thing we're going to do is give our dashboard a title. So we're in the Home tab. We'll do text box. And call this Hospital KPI. dashboard. Select this, go down to Trebuchet MS, and then we'll go 40. Then we're going to add a border. So we have these visuals that are already in the box by Power BI, but you have the option if you hit these 3 dots to get more visuals. And the filter that I use quite often is the chiclet slicer. And it's right here. And so you can just add this into Power BI. This blue button here shows that it's a visual that's certified by Power BI. Some of the visuals here are not certified by Power BI, so you have to make sure that has that blue check mark box if you want a certified visual. And then you just select add here, and then you see it pop up the chiclet slicer here. So we're going to add this chiclet slicer, and we're going to add the hospital name in the category section. We're going to do a little bit of formatting, so we're going to make this into 4 columns so it's all on the same line. You can shrink off the header. I'm going to take off multi-select. So you only select one instead of both of them at the same time. So we're going to move this up a bit, and we're going to increase the size of the chiclet to 20. Then the next visual we're going to add is a map. So go here with the filled map. And we'll add the hospital province as the location. And then instead of just adding total minutes, total days, we're going to take the average hospital length of stay. So we need to create a measure. So we do that by going to these 3 dots here to the more options section. We select that and select a new measure. You can do average, total, average hospital length of stay. So that will be average, and then you'll go to total days. So this will open the DAX window. And DAX stands for Data Analysis Expression. This is a formula expression language used in Power BI Desktop, oftentimes to calculate complex time intelligence functions, but we're just going to stick to some more simpler summations. You can either select here in the check mark, or you can just hit enter, and it will calculate the measure. And so we'll drag this measure into our tooltips field well. And then you can see by the province, the average hospital length of stay. And you can filter here by Ontario, showcasing 5.82. And you can filter by the different provinces. And so we're just going to center this title and then add a border. Next visual we're going to add is the gauge, and this is a great measure to kind of showcase both the target metric that you want to achieve versus your total to date metric. So before we choose this gauge, we're going to create another measure, which will be our target value. And this is going to be the metric for the average time to see provider. So we're going to do a target of 600 minutes. And again, all of these metrics would be defined by the healthcare provider based on their location, size of the hospital, and many other factors. But we're just going to say 600 minutes is the gold standard for waiting to see a provider. And we'll select this gauge filter, put the 600 in the target value, and then we will create a new measure for our average minutes to see the provider. Average time to see provider. Average time. I'll just put the average time to see provider in the value field. And so we see, we can filter this by the hospital to see how the average time to see provider changes by hospital. We'll add a border here. Now, the next measure we're going to add is the patient satisfaction score. So we will use a clustered bar chart for this. We will take the patient satisfaction score as the values and then put this in the axes field. We're going to get rid of the axes title. Turn the data labels on. Change your title to something more intuitive. The patient satisfaction score. We'll center this. And then add a border. And so we see that Hospital C seems to have the lowest average time to see provider, and they have a high patient satisfaction score. So as an analyst, this is something that you want to delve in further to see if there's an actual correlation between that. And we'll just take off this x-axis title. And then the last metric we will use to build this will be the patient readmission rate. So in this one, we'll just use the donut chart, which is similar to the pie chart. This into the value, put this into a legend, and again, just format it a bit better. So legend will be in the bottom. We'll take off the legend title, add a better title. The last thing we will do is we notice that when we are able to filter by the visuals, it filters them throughout the whole dashboard. And so instead of that, we're going to change the interaction. So we'll go to Format, Edit Interactions, and we'll see that all of these highlight icons are selected. So instead of that, we're going to change it to Filter so that when you select the specific province, it just filters the actual numbers. And so we'll do the same thing for here. So we'll just change here. And that looks good. So we will deselect Edit Interactions. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll add a button so we can have a section with information about these metrics so that if an individual who doesn't have a clinical background, doesn't know what average time to see provider is, we'll have a glossary of terms so that they can understand how these metrics are being calculated. So just do that by adding a button. So we'll go Insert, Buttons, Information icon. We'll add the information icon here. We'll add button text. And then we're going to add an action to this button. So it does something when we select it. So we'll select on and we'll do page navigation. And we're going to have it whenever you select this button, it's going to navigate you directly to the next tab, which is the information tab. Then off. So now when you select control and then you click on this, it will have you move to the information section. So I'm just going to quickly cut to the information that I'm going to add to this section. Then when you select the control click, it will give you a breakdown of all the description of the metrics. And lastly, we're just going to add the theme to the dashboard just so it pops out a bit more. So I'm just going to go with the Innovate theme, but there are a bunch of other themes, and you can even import your own theme if you prefer to use your organization brand colors or your own business brand colors. So I'll just select that and then change the style of the map. And voila, we've created our clinical dashboard and it works really well. And lastly, we'll just save our work. And then at this point, you can just publish it. Publish this report to Power BI service. And once you publish it to Power BI service, you'll just go to File, Embed Report, Publish to Web, Public. So this will make your report, this will allow you to publish your report to the web, and you'll get a specific unique link. To get a specific link for your Power BI report, and then you can embed this into your blog or website. So I use WordPress, so I'm just able to embed it, the link right into my blog post. So that's something that I would do here. I would just embed the link into my blog post on the Health Analytic Insights website. So I hope this video was of value to you and that you've been able to follow along and create your own clinical business intelligence project. And I'd love to hear from you. Comment down below. What are you struggling with the most when it comes to getting a job in the health informatics field? And don't forget to check the description box below where I have a free guide to starting your career in health informatics. Thanks and have a wonderful day.